The media plays a significant role in entertaining and informing its audience.
I think that African Americans are portrayed in the media as uneducated. They are violent. They don't think about consequences of their actions. Just basically in a bad light based on the news media and some reality shows. They're portrayed in a bad way, in my opinion.
I think they are portrayed as very uneducated ghetto people who are very loud, just trying to seek out attention in others and trying to make other people laugh, just for the enjoyment.
I think African Americans are portrayed as what many people would feel the stereotype for African Americans are. So loud, ghetto, uneducated, uncultured, poor, when that's not actually the reality of how Black people are.
Obviously, we have a rapist in Lincoln Park. He's climbing in your windows. He's snatching your people up, trying to rape them. So y'all need to hide your kids, hide your wife, and hide your husband because they raping everybody out here.
The media's portrayal of African Americans has contributed to many misconceptions about African Americans.
No, I do not. No, I do not. Just like the media portrays some bad African American things they do, things that happen, I think that they do not show the good that happens because I believe there's more good going on in the world than bad. And they do not focus on the good. They seem to focus on the bad because the bad is exciting, it's interesting, and misery loves company. So the bad news seems more interesting. So that's what's reported and portrayed.
I say no because they're held to a stereotype on media. I'd say no.
No, I don't. I feel like when you watch cartoons and stuff, they always have like the black kid as like a poor kid or wearing a football jersey or a basketball jersey. And if you look at the news, they always try to portray us as thugs or hoodlums. I just don't feel like that's accurate and fair to African Americans.
No. Like as I said that before about how they're portrayed as only poor, only louder, only uneducated, when there are so many African Americans who are lawyers, who are doctors, who are professors, who go out and do amazing things with their lives, but no one ever really acknowledges that. One of the most influential people in America was Martin Luther King, and he was educated and he was Black. He graduated college when he was 15 years old, and he changed the way American law was. He made it so that Black people were truly equal in this country. But no one really thinks of the Martin Luther Kings, and no one really thinks of the Thurgood Marshalls. People only think about the Daquans, who are loud and don't do well on their math tests, when that's not the true African American portrayal. There are more people out there other than the Daquans and the Shaniquas that you stereotypically think of. There are more Black people out there who are doing great things with their lives and making accomplishments in this country.
Negative portrayals of African Americans in the media not only influence Caucasians' opinions of the African American community, but it also influences African Americans' perceptions of themselves.
Yes, because young African American people watch TV. And the media isn't just TV, it's social media, radio. It's a technical world, and this generation, all the young people are technical savvy. Therefore, yes, you all are very much affected by the media because you pay attention to them.
Yeah, I believe that they do. I believe that young Africans are held to actually a low standard compared to what they should be, only because of the negative effect that media has on them. So I feel like they're being affected, saying that this is what they should be, or this is how African Americans actually are, compared to what they really are.
Yes, I do. I feel like if you're a young African American and you're watching the news and you're going to school and all you hear about is how African Americans are 13% of the population but make up more than half of the prisons, and how all these black people are killing each other, and like there's all this negative stuff. You just look at the media and see all this negative stuff, like you're gonna feel like you can't do better than like what the media portrays African Americans. So I mean, it does have a big effect on us.
I definitely think that it has an effect on young African Americans. It makes them feel as if, well, if this is how people see me, then maybe that's just how I'll be, because no one will ever let me be better than that. No one will ever take me seriously because they think that that's how I really am. So I definitely think it has an effect because that's all people see, and when that's all you see about the type of race you are, then people just feel like, well, why should I even try if no one's gonna even try and accept me?
Yes, absolutely. I do think it leaves stereotypical perceptions because you have some Caucasian people that don't have personal interactions with African American people. Therefore, they do not know anything more than maybe someone at work that's African American. But to see things on the news, and when they're mostly bad, they have the stereotype. They stereotype all black people in that light. That becomes their perception. So I do think that the news portrays it, because you have African American commit the same crime as a Caucasian American, and you will hear two totally different outcomes. You will hear two totally different consequences of those actions, of those crimes. It will be two different court sentences. So absolutely, I do think that the perception is very different on the news of African Americans.
The news is one of the main reasons why African Americans are stereotyped, because when you see about, let's say, someone is murdered, on the news they say the suspect, a young African American male, but whenever the suspect is not African American, they just say the suspect, and then they describe his height and his weight. They don't really say if they were black or not. And that's something I've noticed, and it makes me realize that what the news is doing, they're just ingraining the stereotype of African Americans as criminals, as people you can't trust, when that's not the reality. That's how people are hearing African Americans. Whenever you hear about someone being killed on the news, and if they're black, they're always described as black. But when they're not black, they're just said, the man was about middle-aged and 6 feet in height. And when people don't even register that in their minds, it's so subliminal that people don't even realize that what the news is doing, they're enforcing the stereotype of black people as criminals and people you shouldn't be trusting.
So what can be done in media to change the perception of African Americans in society?
It's simple. They just need to treat us equal. Fight the power.